Hello students, now we'll study the properties of solids. I'm sure these properties are known to you already because these are very common things, but in this class you'll be asked to give the reason behind them. So I have written the reasons right in front of the property and we'll study them together. Now, solids have a fixed shape and volume because the particles in solid are very closely packed and experience a strong attraction force. This is why they have fixed shape and volume. Solids cannot be compressed. Compression means decreasing the volume of any substance, means bringing the particles closer. Because particles in solid are already very tightly packed, so they cannot be brought even closer. Fourth, strong force of attraction between particles. As we studied in the diagram in the previous page, that particles are tightly packed. So, because of that closeness, they experience a strong force of attraction. Solids have high melting and boiling points. The reason behind is the strong force of attraction between the particles. Because the force is very strong, so to overcome it, a large amount of energy is required. That's why they have high melting and boiling points. Next property is high density. Density is packing of particles in a particular volume. It has a formula. Density is mass upon volume. Then, as particles are very closely packed in solids, so that's why they have very high density. The next property is solids do not flow. Particles are not free to move. The reason is strong attraction force. That's why they're not so free to move around. They only can vibrate. Next, we have the properties of liquids. And you know very well that liquids do not have a fixed shape, but they have a fixed volume. Now, why do liquids not have a fixed shape? The reason is particles are loosely packed and they can easily slide past each other, which is why they don't have a fixed shape. But because particles can slide past each other, this gives them flexibility. And you know very well that we can move our hand in water or other liquids. But liquids do have a fixed volume. Reason is the particles of liquids are not very close to each other, but they do have good amount of attraction force between them, which is why their volume is always fixed. Liquids cannot be compressed, means their volume cannot be reduced. Reason is particles of liquids are close enough, so they cannot be compressed or brought even closer. Next property, low boiling point. As interparticle attraction force in liquids is less than solids, so they require less energy to break free. That's why their boiling points are low. They have less density. This depends on packing of particles. As particles are loosely packed, so they have less density. Property: liquids can flow from higher level to lower level. You must have experienced it yourself. Sometimes what happens is that a glass of water spills over. You find that it spreads, but it only spreads to a limit. The reason is the particles have more interparticle space and are comparatively less force of attraction between them. That's why they can flow, and especially they can flow from higher level to lower level. Properties of gases. Gases, you know, do not have any shape, they do not have a fixed volume. The reason is The particles in gases are very loosely packed and are free to move around. That's why they don't have a fixed shape. They don't have a fixed volume also. It's all because of these three reasons. Particles are very loosely packed, particles experience very little force of attraction, and particles have maximum kinetic energy, so they can move around. Next is gases can be compressed. As particles of gases have maximum interparticle space and least force of attraction, so by applying pressure and lowering their temperature, they can be turned into liquids. Best example we have is LPG. When we shake the cylinder of LPG, we hear the sound of a liquid, but as we open the knob, the gas comes out. Means that gas is filled under pressure. Then next is they have low density. Again, it depends on packing of particles. They are very loosely packed. They are very far away from each other. They flow in all directions. As particles have least attraction force, they flow in all the directions. Very important property. They exert pressure on the walls of container. First thing is that gases can only be kept in closed containers. And while there, these particles keep moving. They keep hitting each other and also with the walls of the container. That's why they exert pressure on the walls of container.